Okay, and welcome to the CLV Season 2 testing. I am Game Goose, your host. We're joined today by Nuno and Kubo in the booth. We also have some interviews available from some of our other drivers here. We've got Mart Andries, SLV driver, in the booth as well. Sixty Digger from SLV as well. Or or recently retired, driver from CLV. Kraft from JLV, Quetzley, the owner of GOD, and Suwasid, the owner of SCR, in the booth all today. Our qualifying one lap qualifying has Kato from Polish NRT Orlen on the grid up top. Suwasid from Scuderia Carmona in second place. Good results for them. We're going to take a look at some of the past standings. We're going to take a look at some of the predictions and movements as well, and then a little profile on each of the drivers. So, 20 minutes of time. Everyone's going for the best, fastest lap. So it doesn't matter what place they come in. The performance will be for the fastest lap today. Kubo, you have a team in the league here, Racing Auto Matessa, Nomskar down in last place on the qualifying. What are your thoughts for this season?
The upgrades did not go as intended, and we'll be looking to make our way back up the field like we did last season.
Not obviously giving too much away about how the upgrades went, but you can't help but notice when they're right at the back, of course. Tough luck for Matessa right now, finishing somewhere in the middle last year, I believe, correct?
Yep, we managed to finish in the middle last year despite, I think, Nodden's finishing last or second last in the driver's standings. Julo helped us avoid relegation, finish in the middle. Pretty decent.
There's this...
and now he's gone off moved on to Porsche. So we'll
That's right.
Hoping that Noms can get a better performance and that Your to be master, newly promoted, can also.
Promoted up from your junior team, Scott Polato, correct?
Yep, give us a good performance.
Excellent.
He had a very good JLV season last time.
So there he is right now, and there's a look at Vlad0204 from Gall Motorsports. Now, Gall Motorsports is a rebranded and sold Phoenix Motorsports, who was relegated from the SLV last year, finishing dead last both seasons of SLV. Sold to driver Gaeta, or we call him G4. He now owns the team outright and drives alongside Vlad0204, who was kicked out of his seat last season, finishing 5th overall in the constructors or the driver standings on Nuri Racing. One of the few drivers to lose a seat, Vlad02. He's focused his resources into other things besides driving this year. One of them being founding 2 new JLV teams in the East Division. So focusing on some ownership, dropping down into a less competitive league this season to race along G4. Up top right now, we have Pappy Pops Racing 1-2, Butterlord and Senior Pappy out to the early lead, and some of the earlier fastest laps so far, a 33.47 from Butterlord and a 33.70 from Senior Pappy, renamed Pappy, a 34.52, 34.53, and a 34.23, the next drivers down the list. But here's a 34.03 from Toad Speed, so that is currently the fastest lap.
Maybe if I could come in, because I might be able to say something that would be interesting to look at, which is if it's Puppy Pop's team with some seconds so far, and if you just look at the overall standings without looking at the fastest laps. And one thing that I know about this track in Spain is that it's very more speed driven track. Like there's quite a lot of straight for out corners and very large corners, so having more speed helps on this track in particular. So the teams that have the drivers up the front might be a sign that they have more speed on their cars.
That's right. The the front straight is one of the longest straights in the entire racing schedule, F1 or virtual. That was our expert and four-time champion Nuno, of course, weighing in on that opinion there. Probably one of the most speed-friendly tracks. However, there are some good technical courses, technical areas of this course. We'll try and zoom in on these tighter turns to see how the grip is holding up for some of the teams too. Right here, Polish national racing team Orlen with two new drivers, Kato and Abver. We had, of course, Sexy Digger retiring and Applamazing moving up to the SLV, one of the few drivers to get a seat up in the top league. Next, we have promoted team ProLime 4 on BFZ, and Toad Speed there featured as well. Toad Racing System came in 4th place overall, just about 8 points off of Pappy Pops. Or, sorry, they were 18 points off Pappy Pops for 3rd. They're hoping to make some waves this season as well. Really fast right now. Toad holding the fastest lap even though he's down in 8th. BFZ and Flying Fox Racing are the two teams that promoted. And then another team here that is a new look. This is Acer Audi Sport, renamed from Rich Energy. That's Pria's racing team out of the Netherlands. In that sea foam and red kind of design. 2 new drivers in for her as well. As we look at the struggling G4 down in 17th and only a 35.17 fastest lap. This team should be near the top of the grid, getting the most amount of upgrade chances in preseason. But it looks like they're struggling right now, so it may not have been that successful of a transition down to the CLV from the SLV. Any of our drivers watching along want to give an opinion now? Go ahead and turn on your radio. How about Mart Andries, SLV specialist for WTech? Mart looks to be busy. Kubo, you got an opinion on Scuderia Carmona here? Suicide looking up in 3rd place and Aria down in 19th so far.
Well, that's very interesting. Very bizarre. This is the first driver, eh?
It's that first driver, but also to cap that suspicion, we also have a pretty big divide between Toad and Miku, who's in 8th and then 16th in the reverse driver setting as well.
There is one thing that it's needed to have in mind that in these types of races, it's really normal for the AI to just spread like crazy between each other. And even here, it's a good race, but even though the drivers that are getting laps are still respecting good flags, but so their time will not really be slower. And so yeah, with time, with the fact that they have to respect those flags constantly makes it really hard for them to make fast laps.
Yeah, that's right. And we have down.
It looks like I swear he might be cursed because he always underperforms in virtual races so far. It's very weird.
Nearly 4 seconds off the next driver. Toad Speed. Oh, Suicide looking great with the fastest lap right now with a 33.13. Senior Pappy with a 33.17 and a 33.18 for Butterlord, your top 3. Butterlord, of course, renaming himself from Floyd McLovin Jr. on Tour Racing last year, who was demoted and then folded and rebranded into a completely new team, Lahama Racing, in the JLV. Butterlord kind of avoided being taken down into the GLV by signing on to a contract with the Canadian owner, Senior Pappy. Toad Speed. It's currently outperforming Miku, who was the teammate of Floyd McLovin Jr. on Tour Racing and the owner of Tour Racing, now just focusing on being a driver, having a little bit of trouble adjusting to the car as he's sitting 9 positions back of Toad. And Toad with a 33.72, somewhere in the middle of the field right now. Pro Lime 4. Another driver who switched teams within the CLV, leaving Rich Energy to sign with the newly incoming BFZ. His teammate F35 sitting down in 11th on the field right now with a 33.85. Oh, and a 34.08 there. Not bad laps right now. 33.85 is going to be very fast. Anything under 34 is a pretty good time here in the CLV testing. Abver, the champion for BFZ, helping promote them last year, signs on to the Polish Orlen team to race alongside Keto, putting on a 33.45. Again, right smack dab in the middle of the top of the grid, a good spot to be. They're going to hope to improve on their second place finish. They'll be right in line looking at promotion into the SLV this year with Talento Rojo, who rebranded to Forza Roja. Scuderia Carmona, they finished 5th place last year with 70 points, but no podiums. The only team on the grid to not get a podium. They did score 1 pole position, but that consistency helped them to finish 5th, but the lack of good performances had them finishing 5th. Both players coming back, the owner Carmona re-signing Suacid. Suacid also founding a new team in JLV for himself. They're going to be looking to increase their performance up above 5th, grab some podiums, grab some wins this year too. Suacid, with the fastest lap so far, is going to be making the owner, Aria Carmona, very happy and very confident they can snag those victories and podiums this season. Who have we not talked about yet? Hurricane Racing. Kato's team, he's racing in this league with a different team, as we look at Fox and Mosca from Flying Fox. The Hurricane Racing, they finished 7th last year. Not that guy and Corvid coming back to race for HRT, a new livery. They had 1 win and 1 third place and a fast lap, but not a great overall performance otherwise. Not a lot of top 10s, not a lot of small points that you need to pick up to finish high up the grid. Not that guy sitting in the top 10 so far on the race grid. So definitely an improvement, but Corvid down there having some trouble with the vehicle in 17th. Kind of middle of the road for HRT. They want to mainly avoid relegation and give themselves a good chance, a good standing to get back up in the grid, possibly for next season. They won't be looking at a championship this year, unfortunately. Now we see Fox here and Mosca. Kubo, thoughts on Flying Fox? That's my shared team with Fox of the Moon, obviously, coming up from JLV last season. What do you think they might be able to do this year?
Well, it looks like they've got themselves a solid car. They're up in the upper midfield right now, the preseason test race. So it looks like they might have a very successful first season coming up. The other team coming up is Bluebell Force Z, right?
That's right, yeah, and they're the same. They're up in the midfield, up in the top 10 as well. Definitely above average for both what would be expected, because they start at the bottom of the totem pole as far as upgrades go in the off season.
Yep, and they've certainly beaten out some teams like, of course, Matessa and Go Motorsports, who, despite having, was it the highest amount of chances, because they replaced PNP relegating from SLV, it looks like they completely blew it.
Yeah, they had twice as many upgrade chances as Flying Fox, who had 9. They had 18 attempts and seemed to be blown out of the water. It could be adjusting to the new league. It could be a tough off-season. Maybe they had more paperwork than time to get into the engine shop with that transition. I don't know. But yeah, not looking great for Gall. And also, down there, Miku is struggling and the Andrian is struggling for Acer Audi Sport. There doesn't look to be too many big divides except between Mosca Brevis and Not That Guy. And then F35 is 5 seconds behind Celeste. So there's some definite skill gaps, but we're going to have to wait till the session is over to see what the upgrades truly reveal this season. And a good look at that very detailed livery by Priya for the newly rebranded team. Rich Energy, of course, going bankrupt, a big scandal, advertising money sunk in places that offshore accounts and what have you. Acer Audi Sport, a little bit more reliable of a brand to carry the name, and the new set of drivers as well. Celeste Lucier coming up from Fast Racing, who finished 4th in the JLV standings. She had a great season and looking to impress on the CLV side of things. Great opportunity, and really cool of Priya to give her the chance on the dual female tag team going on in CLV. We've not seen that yet before in the virtual leagues. We have about 5 minutes left as F35 rounds into the midpoint of the track here at Barcelona, the classic testing facility. That classic livery that BFZ rode to victory in the JLV Constructors Championship going to make a reappearance now in the CLV. They've changed nothing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it was the mantra from Bluebell Boy. Also champion in SLV, a double champion. So there's nothing left much to do to check off the list for a Bluebell Boy except to get another championship in the CLV. Then he'll have won in all 3 leagues. Vlado 2 with a 34.70 so far for Gaul, down the list on the standings right now. Obviously not what they'd hoped for in their first testing session as a new team, but he is outperforming his teammate G4. Miku struggling also, another one of the teams to have a big divide between the 2 drivers in this session. Going with the same livery again as last year. A nice black and mauve and seafoam green redesign for the livery from Matessa. What inspired this darker livery, Kubo? It's from the bright pink and powder blue of last year.
Well, I just wanted to switch it up a bit, and so I decided to go for a darker theme livery for both Matessa and Scott Cole, and I'll just probably be cycling between the 2 liveries every season.
Oh, just beautiful, really striking. So, CLV had some great liveries last season. I'm leaning towards the JLV East for this year's best looking grid, but I think that'll be a fun vote at the end of the year. A nice redesign for SCR as well, putting some red accents on their vehicle. Arya still down near the bottom, but Suasid, we'll have to check. Hopefully we get a look at his lap times. 32.98 from Butterlord. That's a new fastest lap, as we think. 33.17 for Pappy. And will we get to see Suasid's time? Has it improved from 33.13? That's a blistering lap, sub 33 from Butterlord, the Filipino racer and double team owner in the SLV and JLV. He's got his foot in every single league. Teammate and owner, Senior Pappy's got to be thrilled. They're heading it up 1-2 right now in that bright orange car with the green helmets, unchanged again from last year. And there's the 33.13 still standing from Suasid. Now, Nuno, I know you have not had a foot in this virtual world yet, but what do you think a good upgrade strategy might be for these newer teams who are coming into JLV? They'll be watching their upgrade videos or their preseason testing videos soon. What do you think is the best way to outfit your car while the season proceeds? Is Nuno still with us?
On that, if you like.
Well, here we go. Here is the commissioner of the league himself, Skip. Maybe you could weigh in on that theory.
Well, I think as a wise man once said, speed is king.
but I wouldn't undermine the importance of going diversified as well. Of course, if you go for the same upgrade twice in 1 week, then you will get both of them fail, if even one of them fails. So it has a similar dynamic to the rushing upgrade system of previous seasons in SLV and the junior divisions. I think just diversifying teams who have a strong foundation off the bat. If you've gone for one thing, then you can use the season to catch up on your other things. Everyone's back to ground zero. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting in terms of the upgrades themselves as we get a lovely wide view of the Spanish track.
Fantastic insight from the pro himself, and a new owner yourself in the JLV. Congrats on the Russo British Racing making its reappearance into the UR2D universe.
Looking forward to the season.
And we're looked to be...
The SLV upgrades.
That's right. They will be revealed right after the airing of this broadcast. So check your SLV upgrades. Stay tuned tomorrow for the CLV upgrades to be revealed as well. As we tick down on the final clock and the final lap will begin right now. So it is Suasid's last chance to get a blistering lap in to try and catch Butterlord as he puts on a 34.27, a lot slower than his fastest lap. And here comes Suasid, well above his best lap of 33.13, but a great appearance on the track from him. I think the biggest outperformance of the day with Carmona down in 17th on the grid. Fox and Mosca and the BFZs, the new teams in the league promoted up from JLV in the middle of the pack, they have to be happy with that. And there we go. The fastest lap is from Butterlord, a 32.98. And in order, Suasid has a 33.13 for Scuderia Carmona. Senior Pappy with a 33.17 and a 33.35 from Abver. Toad Speed is the next driver down below 33.5 at 33.45. Fox with 33.6. Kato 33.62 just behind him in the Polish Orlen. Proline from BBB4C, the first of the JLV champion cars, 33.85 and a 33.93 from Not That Guy. Now above 34 seconds, both the Acer Audis, 34.05 and 07 for Celeste and the Andrian. Mosca with a 34.08, 1/100th behind for Flying Fox. F35, 34.15 and 34.50 for Corvid. Vlado 2 coming in. Vlado 2 coming in with a 34.52, the first of the two cars for Gull Motorsports, and Matessa's first car with a 34.58 from the UR2D Master. Miku with a 34.880 for Toad Racing, much further down the order than Toad would like his new teammate to be. Some improvements there will be needed, and Aria Carmona definitely going to be disappointed, only putting up a 34.93. There were two cars on the grid today that were Supra 35-second laps. G4, the owner of Gall, with a 35.17, and returning driver Nomskar, sad to report, a 35.23 also for Matessa. Driver of the day, impressing from a team that was middle of the grid for upgrades. It's Suasid from Scuderia Carmona with his 33.13. That's it for myself, Kubo, and Skip, and the rest of the crew watching along. We will see you tomorrow for JLV testing, starting with the West.